consideration given to placing code enforcement officers under the direction and supervision of the police department. And this is for all of you to comment on that. You want to start, Dan, and go down the line?
There's discussion whether it is or not. Normally, it is put underneath legal, because legal's the one that has to defend it or do other things. And code enforcement is something that we're going to be discussing a lot, and hopefully, I asked the council last time we met, I said, every one of you, please bring your items and write them down on paper, everything that you want to see about code enforcement and what you think ought to happen in this kind of case. And then let's compare all of our notes, and the ones that everybody's put on there, you know, then those are the easy ones to do, because I think there needs to be adjustments to that. But to put it underneath a different department, right now I think it's best underneath a department that has to oversee it and defend it.
Let me, just a little aside, not to get into it, because I'm just trying to moderate.
Well, yeah.
Okay, but wouldn't the training and the direction and the placing an officer to go different places be a little more easier with the police department, because they're dealing with this every day?
I don't think it'd be any different than
Okay.
the other way. I mean, they need to have training. I think they have to have the training, because it has to be defensible by a legal department. The legal works with the police department.
Okay, but, I'm going to keep going for just a minute here. The same thing happens, by the way, if a police officer writes out a ticket for something, okay, and it's challenged, and legal gets involved there, right? Isn't this comparable? Isn't this parallel?
Yeah, we would do that.
Okay, so anyway, it wouldn't make a big difference if the code enforcement officers were under the police department.
It still works with legal.
Okay, well, yeah, eventually. Michelle?
I would like to see it under the police department, under Chief Stratton's supervision, and I've also said that I would like to see a better training system for the code enforcement officers to make sure that we are in our rights and we're not violating anybody's Fourth Amendment rights. I've also said that we need to look at all of the codes. Some need to be eliminated, some need to be modified, and every election you hear people say, let's look at the codes, and it never happens, and we do need to go through and look at all of the codes.
Ed?
Well, we're talking about search and seizure issues, Fourth Amendment rights. We know that the police department deals with this on a regular basis. Every day the policeman's on the street, he may run into an issue involving probable cause and search and seizure. They're knowledgeable in it, they're trained in it, they know how to supervise it. Our code enforcement group has kind of been looking for a home for a number of years. They started out, I think it was in the planning department, and then they were moved to the legal department. And now we're down to 2 code enforcement officers instead of 4. And the whole issue in this pending lawsuit, or the allegations that have been filed, are going to deal directly with Fourth Amendment rights and how the code was written. Now, as to whether they belong necessarily within the city attorney's prerogative in his area of authority, you have to remember that on this particular issue, the issue is the allegations, which may be unfounded or they may prove to be. We don't know, but I think we have to take 2 things into account here. You're innocent until you're proven guilty, and any allegations made against anyone that's a city official has to be considered. But when you start to look at whether they belong within the police department or out, the city attorney, if he has to have a case presented to him, is going to have to prosecute it. There's a direct conflict of interest. It's very difficult for the city attorney to file charges against his own boss or other, whether it's a council, mayor, or whoever, city manager. So there's a conflict of interest. The Utah state election law states clearly that the city attorney may prosecute such cases. The key word is may, not shall. And subsections to that say that the city attorney may ask another city attorney, or could be the Attorney General's office, to handle the investigation because of conflict of interest. So looking at the whole bigger picture of those issues that confront us has to be taken. And we also need to recognize that perhaps the city chief of police could do a better job in training and providing supervision on a daily basis And there's no reason why police officers can't be enforcing city codes as well. So it touches base with what they have to do.
Thank you, Ed. Tara?
I think who the code enforcement officers report to is less relevant than what they're being told to do and what the codes on the books are and our attitude towards code enforcement and the citizens' rights. If your attitude is that you don't have Fourth Amendment rights in the city of St. George, I don't think that it matters if you report to legal or to planning or to the police department or to Santa Claus. The problem is that you don't have Fourth Amendment rights. So I think that we need to look at the codes, decide what the purpose that they're serving is, decide if that purpose still serves our city. Is there common sense behind this? Are they objective? And I think that we need to throw the codes out that don't meet our goals and aren't serving our community. And I think that we need to value property rights. And we need to value property rights over aesthetics. We need to look and balance the needs of your neighbors to your needs. So we want everyone to have the right to peaceable enjoyment of their property. But on the other hand, we don't want to turn the neighborhoods into West Side Story, and we have the Hatfields and the McCoys fighting each other and taking pictures and spying on their neighbors. And we certainly do not want police officers or city employees violating our Fourth Amendment rights and coming into our backyards without a warrant.
Amen.
Joe?
I think we all agree that there needs to be something really addressed in the code enforcement area. And I think that everyone's committed to that. The existing council, the new people who may be on there, I think that's, the issue is there. Now they're going to work on a solution to take care of it. But the challenge we have also is manpower, prioritizing, and money. I one day talking to Chief Stratton, I said, what's going on with this code enforcement? And he said, let me make it very simple, Joe. Do you want my people out busting drug dealers or taking care of code enforcement that may not be as critical as we think it may be? So I think first we've got to look at how critical those things are. I'm sure there's many of them that need to be changed. But then they can't do it without money and manpower. And without that, then it's just a laugh to just go on by it and set these new codes if it's not being done. So when we say that we're going to redo them, I think we will. And when we say we're going to be accountable for them, we better have the money and the manpower to back it up.
Thank you, Joe. John?
I think most of what needs to be said has been said. What I would add, and leave the rest said by the others, is, we have two very good people in Chief Marlon Stratton and in City Attorney Sean Guzman. And I hope we will always have those kinds of quality people. So what I would do, to really answer the question, Jerry, is I would want to talk to the two of them and say, what are the pros and cons as you see them in terms of where this houses, where it's housed, who it reports to. I think there's been some value in having it under Sean Guzman. I think we've improved some processes there, and I'd like to see that, taken several steps further. And I agree with everything that's been said in terms of we've got to make sure that, that we're not going beyond, certainly, the Fourth Amendment and some of these things. We certainly need to back off on those things and rewrite the ordinances. There are some things we're just not enforcing, but they're on the books. Well, we need to clean that up. I prefer to have it be, let's enforce what's on the books, or let's get them off the books. Thank you.
Thank you.